Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always is Eric and Nathaniel. What is going on, fellas?
Not too much. I just completed a 15K this morning that was up a mountain, so that was fun. But I'm here. I survived, and I'm here.
He's alive. He's alive.
No one had to carry me off on a stretcher.
Better than I could do. You're a better man than me. I don't run, so
I don't enjoy running. We'll put it that way. It is not my form. I would rather bike. I would rather ride a bike someplace.
Yeah,
we want to do this to kind of show that we could, and we hadn't done it in a couple of years. Our time wasn't as good as our last time, but it was better than the first time we did it. So we've done it 2 other times. So
well, at least it didn't rain. So
Yeah, it was windy though. It was blowing like 10, 20 miles at the top. And
wow.
That was not fun.
Yeah, it's blew like 50 miles an hour here all day today. It was insane.
Got some wind.
Yeah,
Did you look out your window? Do you look out your window and there goes your neighbor's tree and you're like, that's
no. Luckily, there was no trees or anything
there
like
goes
that.
Their patio furniture.
But man, alive! It was just. We went over to Mom's house, because we still have her house. I was like, okay, I need to check things, make sure it's all right. She had shingles on the top of her roof going boop, 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 in the wind. Looked like a game show where he goes, which window are you looking at? Which one is stop? It was like, oh my gosh, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have to get the roof fixed on that house eventually, but somebody else could worry about that because we'll sell it.
That means it's going to somebody else.
Yeah, it's going to somebody else. So, but so I figured we'd still do a show. We're having problems with the ISP, so we're not live streaming it. So we're just going to do it old school. I am video recording it, so I'm going to try to upload it to YouTube and Twitch and all those places just so we have a record of it because we've gotten 100 and some of them up, so it's like I hate to miss one.
yeah
but yeah, so I figured we'll talk about what we've been playing, what we've been doing. I haven't played a whole lot. I have gotten a lot of accessories for the Steam Deck in review. Jay Sox, while I was going this week, sent a new mod case. This is their case. It has a protective front on it with the things, and then you pop it to cover the sticks and the screen, and you pop it off, and you got this cool rubber grip with a metal kickstand on the back of it, which is awesome. It's got these little mod things. This is a little square cool, here. Like they sent the fan so you can stick it on the top and it connects to the case so it won't fall off. So if you want to, cool. It's a fan that sucks the heat out and it's battery powered, so you can really hear it. Wait a minute, we crank it up.
Is it keeping things cooler than like?
It keeps it about 7 to 8 degrees cooler.
Okay.
So anything's to help the GPU and CPU run a little better. Cooling's always good, and it's not something that's too obtrusive. It doesn't really add a lot of weight to it. It's kind of tiny. Like I said, it has its own battery, so it doesn't like it's got a USB cable running from it that plugs in the top of the Steam Deck or has to run off of an external plug or something like that. So that's pretty sweet. They also sent new backs, so you can't see it here, but there's a purple one in there. You can kind of see the purple around there, so I put the purple translucent plate on there. But I really like the case. The grips are real nice on it. It adds a little more weight to the system, but still, it's cool. I'm glad they sent it by for me to check out, so I'll play with it this week and while I'm on the road and see who, what, and where.
Yeah, that's good. But, you must be doing a good thing. You seem to like it.
Yeah. The one game that I have been playing, though, this week is a game called Dave the Diver. Have you guys ever heard of Dave the Diver?
No. I'm curious, though.
So it's a pixel, it's kind of a 16-bit-ish game where you're, of course, a diver by day.
Really?
Yeah, I know, right? You're a diver by day.
A diver.
But by night you you work at a sushi restaurant. So during the day you're catching the fish to sell at the sushi place, so the chef will cut it up. It's a quote unquote magical lagoon you're in because it's procedurally generated. So every time you go down, there's different fish. It looks different. There's different things down there every single time. So it's kind of like a procedurally generated dungeon is what it is. But you could dive twice a day. And so far, I've had a professor come by and say, "Hey, if you find any kind of rare artifacts under the water, let me know." And then I had a student from the school who sends me lists of things that they need for their biological oceanography class or whatever it's called. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but they have but the dude that you work for has a high-end sushi place right there on the lagoon. So you take the fish over, and he has this professional cook, and you're running back and forth taking orders. So it's kind of like a weird collecting game, but it's also a weird diner dash game where you got to keep plates off the table, and you got to fill drinks and take orders and stuff like that, and do it the fastest that you can and stuff. But it's kind of like an RPG, I guess you could say, because like I said, it's got the procedurally generated lagoon. I guess whatever you want to call it. It's really kind of fun. I'd heard about it on another podcast that recommended it, and I think it was on sale this week on the with the spring sale for like $12 or something like that. So
I forgot I was going to buy a bunch of stuff, and then I forgot. I got busy.
Oh,
but there'll be another sale. Summer sale right around the corner.
Oh yeah, there's always a sale every 2 months. It seems like every 2 or 3 months there's a sale. So.
Like, hey, it's on your wish list and it's 50% off. I'm like, okay, when am I going to play this? I don't care.
Yeah, it's really I know, right? It's really a cool little game.
Fun. I'll buy it.
You can upgrade your weapons. Like you just have a harpoon to catch fish with, or a knife that you could kill them and catch them. You end up getting a guy that is a weapons designer, because you can find different weapon designs plans in like Sunken Treasure down in the lagoon, and he'll make the guns for you. So you got to actually get a gun that shoots underwater, so you don't have to try to. Yeah, I mean it's really, and it's an interesting, at least with the controller, because you're aiming with the right stick and you're using the right trigger to shoot with. You're holding down the A button to aim, and then and then shooting with it's a weird combination. You hold down the A button and you move with the left stick to fire, and then the trigger fires. It takes some getting used to, because when you're trying to do it rapid fire, you just want to keep pulling the trigger, but you got to stop, hit the A button, then pull the trigger. It's really kind of weird. It's hard to explain, but that's the only thing that kind of takes some getting used to with the game, is the weird control for the harpoon gun. But
I'm gonna have to check this out. Like, I don't know if this would be up my alley, but the screenshots and stuff look kind of cool. So
yeah, I mean it's got a cool aesthetic to it. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of pixel, 16-bit. But it's not like true 2D. There's some 3D elements to it. And you upgrade your equipment so you can go deeper. Your diving equipment so you can go deeper, stay underwater longer, all that good stuff. I don't know the company the developer that makes it's called Mini Rocket or Mint Rocket, and I've never heard of them. It may be their only game.
Mint Rocket?
That I know of, but it's still in early access. So I thought, well, yeah, it's another time I like to hop on them early access, because usually when they come out of early access, usually the price might be a little more than usual. Yeah. But for $13 on sale, it's a pretty cool game. And if you like something just kind of chill, it's not real stressful. Unless you get down too deep and all of a sudden there's this humongous.
I saw like a whale, right?
Well, there's a whale, but there's in the background there's this humongous like squid. And its eye is like 10 times as big as you are. So, it's like you just kind of see it in the back, and then every once in a while the tentacles will shoot out and try to get you. But that's a little deeper into the game. But like I said, so far it's pretty fun.
It's just single player too? No co-op?
Yep, no co-op or anything. It's just single player, just real casual.
All right.
Which I liked it. I liked it a lot. So, Nathaniel, you've been playing quite a bit this week.
Yeah, I've been bouncing around between stuff
Steam
for
sale?
a little bit before I settled on some things. No, I was wanting...
Massive backlog from 7 years ago?
No. So I was wanting kind of play a Souls-like or something similar. So I tried Wolong Fallen Dynasty and bounced off of that after about an hour
So
or two
do you
because
not
that
recommend that
game.
one?
Not until it gets fixed. And I don't know if they ever will fix it
I was
for
gonna.
where it would be for me. And like a lot of the reviews and people who played it seem to like it, but it has this like insane brick wall that you run against where you go for like the first kind of like level or whatever, end up at this boss fight at the end of it. And it's at least a 2-stage boss fight. If it goes to a third, then they're just jerks. Because I never even got past the second one.
Surprise!
And it's like extra frustrating because I play these games and I cannot, couldn't get it like down at all. It's like I'm trying to do what you want me to do, but I can't because this game is optimized super poorly and there's some issues like even if it worked like flawlessly, just look the way the combat is designed that I didn't really like so much. Even though I played it long enough, we're like, okay, you're wanting me to do this and stuff. It's kind of sort of more like Sekiro in that it's more about like parrying and stuff than it is kind of a Dark Souls style, but it doesn't work like Sekiro does. So I don't know if it's just I don't vibe with Team Ninja or what, but yeah, like all the things I read about it ahead of time was like, yeah, the first boss is a giant roadblock. If you can get past it, and then great, you'll do well. After that, there's nothing as hard as that for a long time, and I didn't even get past it because I just got so angry at it. I was playing it on my Series X, and I was just like, ugh, this is not working how I want it. Let me try it on PC. Not any better. It's stuttery. It's like laggy. Sometimes the frame rate didn't hold up, and it just feels like you're not like. FromSoft just does the best at this because it always feels like you're in control. So even if you're dying a lot, it's not because the game; it's because you're not,
it's because you
doing
suck.
well enough.
That's what he's trying to
And
tell
this
you.
one, the game is what's making me suck, not myself. It's like I've played so
I'm
many.
good, but the game
Yeah.
hates me.
I've played so many, FromSoft games, and then a bunch of other Souls-like games too.
Did you ever play The Surge? Did you like that?
I have the Surge 2 especially is really good.
I couldn't. Well, I'm not a huge Souls guy, but I struggled with that one a little bit more than like Dark Souls too. That was just kind of interesting.
The Surge and Surge 2 was very cool because they had the mechanic where you had to like
fuse the pieces
target limbs, so limbs and other things. So because if you could just go at them normally, you wouldn't get any parts. But if you could carve off parts, and that's how you upgraded, it was really cool. And it was like, hey, they actually succeeded in turning this formula into something that works for a sci-fi universe. Because you're like, that seems weird. Because like, how do you do all the swords and melee combat in sci-fi? But they made it work. This one, like, I don't know, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, I might wait for a while and try it again if they ever do some like balancing stuff on it and just some other things maybe. But for now, it went on the shelf, and so I'm like, okay, well, let me try something else that I've got sitting in my library that I bought from the Christmas sale. So I fired up Remnant from the Ashes, which is sort of Souls-likey, but I'd say it's probably closer to a Diablo game if it was a shooter instead. So you've got like procedurally generated dungeons that you go into, and it's got like a bit of a storyline, but it's not super involved, or at least it wasn't for as far as I got into the game. And that one you can play up to 4 players co-op. I was just playing by myself. And it was pretty fun. I made it down through kind of like, I think 2 dungeons. I don't remember if they were main ones or not. It's been a little bit since I played that one, so I'm not remembering the specifics as much, but it's got kind of a fun art style to it. That's really nice, and the shooting mechanics feel really good. So it's one I'll probably go back to at some point. I just got distracted and I haven't gone back yet because I've been bouncing around so much this past couple weeks. Like, oh, what do I want to play today? Oh, I don't want to play that. I want to play something different. So
sometimes it's just hard to settle on something. That's kind of, I played Hogwarts for so long there for so many hours, and it's kind of like, I want to just kind of play something else for a little while, and I haven't decided what I really want to sit down and play.
So continuing on kind of like the Souls-like itch, I was like, well, let me try Mortal Shell again, because I played it on my Xbox for like 30 minutes or something one time off of Game Pass. And there's just, I wasn't in the mood for it or whatever at the time. So I was like, I'm going to come back to it later. So I was like, I'll boot that up. And I've played about maybe 5 or 6 hours of it total now. I don't remember. I've run around a decent amount. and gotten used to the combat and some of the things with it, and it's like, okay, this is fun. I don't know if I'll go back to it though, because it's all like this. It's kind of like, hey, do you like swamp-looking levels? Because that's what this game is. It's just one giant swamp, and I don't know. It doesn't have the same kind of like health systems as a lot of the Souls-likes do. So the way you get health back is you have some items you can pick up in like consumables that'll heal, but you don't have kind of like the Estus flask that refills every time you sleep at like a bonfire or something, which it also doesn't have that system. Kind of does, but not exactly the same. But you get health by doing kind of like a counter move after you've filled up with, was it like, it's not Valor, I don't think, unless I'm fooling myself and that is the name, but they have a system where if you attack enemies like fairly quickly, you're building up this meter until you fill like a chunk of it, and then it stays there. And if you have a chunk to use, then you can use it to do kind of like this counter move where you'll suck some of their health in when you kill them off. It's kind of like a one-hit kill too if you get it just right. But you can't do it all the time. That's the way they limit it. Is there's like some like a thing that you have to charge up before you can actually use it. So, but yeah, you have like you're like a little kind of, I don't know. It looks almost like the aliens from Prometheus is the main character, and then you have the shells that you can inhabit, which are basically like your body of a fallen warrior. You take their armor, and then as you learn it, you're learning a bit more of their story and unlocking some more abilities and stuff. So I only got the first shell that you start the game with, and then I've unlocked a few of the abilities on it. That's about as far as I've gotten in there. I didn't even get to a boss fight in that game. There could be one somewhere that I was close to. I don't know. I was like wandering on all. There's so many paths in that game. It branches off so many different directions, but they all kind of like loop in together, and it's a little confusing on where you're going. So I'm sure I went through a few of the areas more than once because I was like, wait, have I been here? I'm not sure. So yeah, if you want, like, the combat's pretty decent. If you want kind of like a bit of the like Souls-like flavor to it, it's got some interesting little ideas, but it still feels almost like it's like a cover song of a Souls game. And I don't think it's very long either, so I don't know. It's got some interesting stuff, but it's kind of like, it's kind of still like maybe a B rate game where it's like, okay, it does some stuff well and some stuff not as well. I can't remember how big the team was. I don't think it was a very big team that made that game.
Yeah.
So then after that, I was bouncing around. You know what? I want to play some other stuff that's a completely different type of thing, and that's maybe shorter games so I can get into and get done. And then so I played Kentucky Route Zero because I've had that game in my Steam library for who knows how long. I think I bought it when it still only had like 3 episodes or something, and now that they finally finished it, I've even had it since whenever that's been, because it's still been a little bit since they put out episode 5, I think. So I've played it a little bit. I've played 2 full acts / episode. The game calls them acts, and it's a weird game. It's a very weird game. It's kind of like you play, I don't remember the name of the guy that you're playing, but you're like trying to deliver this package somewhere and no one knows where this road is, and it's like, hey, take the 0, which is some weird interdimensional road, and like it does weird stuff. And that's kind of its shtick. You have this old dog that runs with you called Blue. And yeah, I don't know. You can't really describe it so much. It's not like anything else because it'll throw like weird things at you, like, oh, hey, you're walking around. Oh, wait, now you're driving around on a map. Now you're doing this thing. Now you're going in circles and then doing this other stuff. Now you're on another map talking to people. Like, it switches things up enough that it's kind of like, okay, it's just itself. And I don't know, it's interesting, but I think it's a game you kind of have to be in the mood with. So I've like only played it, like I played it for a bit, went to something else, and then came back and played another kind of episode of it.
Yeah, I've been it's always interested me, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's all kind of like a game that's like it's all about the journey kind of thing, and the journey is very weird. And so like if you're in the mood for that and you just like get into it, then that's awesome. But if it's not going to be a game for everybody, it's an Annapurna game. It's probably one of their earlier ones.
Yeah, I think it is. always it always caught my interest because it seemed like it was like well, the look of it kind of reminded me of I don't know, not like a Telltale game, but kind of like a Telltale game. You know, I kind of thought it was something like that, but it's the more I looked at it, it was
look like a Telltale game.
Yeah, it was
like art style wise, it's kind of like vector graphics from back in the day, almost, where it's all very much just like lines and it's not much colors.
Yeah.
There are some, but yeah, that's kind of the look at it, and it's not really a Telltale game at all. You're going around, you might talk to some people, but it's not like you're interacting and going through this, like, you know, well-crafted story, and no one's going to say they will remember that. It's not that game at all. It's very much a, hey, you're existing in this weird thing, and, you know, we're going to throw some weird stuff at you. Like, hey, you just drive by some dude on the side of the road who's playing a guitar, and you listen to him for a bit. But you're not actually doing that. It's just some text pop-up that's saying that. So it's got, you know, little bits of kind of like slightly assisted text adventure vibe to it. It's got some like other stuff. It's just a whole mix of crazy stuff. Like, I need to look it up. I think it might just be like a game that was made by like 1 or 2 people or something too. I don't remember much about it. It's been so long since I've read about it.
Yeah.
But it has that feel, very much like, hey, this is only something that like 1 or 2 people could make, because any, you know, big company would just like be like, nah, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much someone just like, I have this weird idea. Let me just keep putting weird ideas into this thing and make it into a game.
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Yeah, it's definitely worth trying out for sure, because it's like, if you hit its vibe and it, you know, then you'll be like, great, and if not, then like that's okay. You tried something neat, and it's not gonna take that long to figure out whether you're like gonna like it or not.
I think it was on Game Pass. I don't know if
it still is.
Is it still
is for a little bit longer? Yeah, check it out.
I need to check it out then.
I had seen it, you know, around like 15 to 22 before other places, so you know. I want to say there's a physical version. Somebody put out a physical version.
I'm sure they probably did. I'm sure limited run or something.
Let's ask if it's limited run, because, you know, 90% of it is.
It wouldn't surprise me. I'm glad to be off that kick.
You love it. You love the shipping delays.
I finally cut the strings off that addiction and stopped buying those.
That's a lie, kids. When they put out one of those Genesis shmups again, he's going to be on it.
I tell you, what's the last game that I bought from them?
I bought a couple crappy PS5 games in like 2022 that I got, and I was like, why did I buy these? But other than that, the last thing I bought that I was interested in might have been the 2-pack for Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol.
Let me just see. It's been so long, I have to actually like log into my account and look up what it is. That's how long it's been since.
When they have the Genesis stuff, you know, like they have the repo or like the homebrew stuff, Genesis, that's where I'm very interested in.
Looks like the last games I got was Terminator Resistance, Enhanced Collector's Edition on the PS5, and Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 on the Switch. And that was March of 2021. That was almost 2 years to the date. So
wow. I bought something. I bought something in January. I bought Jamestown Plus, that shmup. Did you ever play that?
Mm-hmm.
I love that
game.
Got a
it's good.
Code for it, and it's only like $30, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, it's fun.
But I bought the Shadowrun trilogy last year. A couple of crappy PS5 games that nobody wants to hear about. Monster Boy Collector's Edition on Switch, because a buddy recommended that for me. He said I might like it. The Takeover, that's a cool little brawler that was in. But other than that, Monster Boy and Takeover 2021. I bought like a handful of games. I used to be pretty bad. Like 2018, 2019, I bought a lot of stuff. But since like COVID, I kind of like slowed down and leaned. I started to only buy stuff I was really, really interested in. I was like, if this is something that I really think I will enjoy, I'm going to buy it. But there's no way I could keep up with everything. And I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff. And I've been trying to get rid of the ones I'm not going to keep for the long run.
Yeah. I haven't even kept up with what they
have. They're putting out like 6 to 8 games a month, literally, sometimes more. And I'm like, I can't follow this.
It was getting.
Hey, remember we bought Streets of Rage 4, then like 2 months later.
Yeah, it
Best
came
Buy
out.
had it.
Yeah,
I
it
was
came.
like, "Ah,
Yeah,
crap."
it came out on Amazon. You know, it was like, and it was like $10 cheaper. It was just like, you know what? I'm kind of done. And that was kind
that
of.
made me mad.
Yeah, that was kind of what drew the line for me with them. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I get them. Well, you know, we don't hold the lot. Yeah, that's fine and all, but don't pawn it off as something it's going to be rare and hard to get, and then 2 months later, the company that you worked with actually brings out their own physical version of it. That's just, I don't know. I think they made a fake limited.
Well, they
quantity
also been bought out by a big company too. So
yeah,
that's
Tencent
a
bought
strange
them.
thing.
So
And then they got their big store, which is supposedly pretty cool. But they now take like their games in for trading too, and they have a big used section. So.
yeah.
But you know,
weird.
like my friend said that lives down the street from me, that was a big limited run guy. Done are the days we're getting up at 7 a.m. on a Friday, setting that alarm, refreshing the site, hopefully get one before the bots do. Now everything's, pre-order.
Yeah.
Or pre-order and production, and got like 3 months to order. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's a topic for
that
another
was
time.
that was a way veered off
Yep,
conversation.
we wandered down a path.
Yeah, we did. But anyway, Nathaniel, continue.
I mean, it's weirdly fitting for Kentucky Route Zero because it's a game of like, hey, you think you're going one way, and then whoop, tangent, you're way over here, and then like, oh, hey, now you're swooping back around here.
There is a physical version, but it's not from Limited Run. It's from I Am 8-Bit, the guys that did Stray.
Oh, okay.
Physical
Yeah.
copy of Stray. They don't have as many, and they're pretty. Their stuff's pretty nice.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Nathaniel. Sorry, we hijacked
Oh, yeah.
you there.
And then I also wanted something low key to play that I ended up listening to a bunch of podcasts while playing a game called Littlewood, which I think I've talked about a while ago on the show, maybe a year or two ago. I don't remember when I played it, when it was an early
Might have got my
access.
interest when you were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, so it's a full release at this point, and it's basically Stardew Valley Light. So you are kind of the main character is this hero of the world who fought the Dark Wizard and defeated him, but you don't have your memory, so everyone's like keep telling you like, hey, you did this stuff or whatever. So now the world is saved, and now you're part of this little town called Littlewood, although you can name your own town if you want.
This
whatever
episode
you
is
want to
sponsored
call
by
it.
JSOX. JSOX,
And
is
you have a
the
bunch
leader.
of different, a few different villagers in there, and you're basically doing a lot of the same stuff you do in like Stardew Valley, a little bit of Animal Crossing in there, so you can eventually unlock a thing that lets you go to other areas, and as you meet some people, some of them will be ones that can come to your town, and then you got to build a house for them. And when you build a house, you can put like a little desk in there that will have requests. So like they're like, I want my house to be 16 spaces away from the town market, and I want to have a cool, cherry wood bed or whatever, all these different things. And you're chopping trees, you're mining rocks and minerals and stuff to get materials to craft other things or build other things. You set up some farms.
Are you killing monsters?
You're not killing monsters, you're avoiding monsters a little bit, because the caves have some monsters that basically it's just like if you get hit, you get knocked out of the cave and you can't go back into it till the next day. But you can't, it's not like a combat game. So it's why it's Stardew Valley Light is because it has some of the same ideas, but it's very much a light version of it where you're not having as much complexity. So for example, farming in Stardew Valley, you've got to like prepare the soil, and you've got to you can fertilize it, you plant the seeds, you water it every day, and then you harvest them, and then it's empty again, and you got to plant seeds again. So in Littlewood, you basically go into build mode and like boom, here you go, here's tillable soil or whatever it's called, basically your farmland, and then like what crop do I want to put in it? Like I'm gonna do carrots because I have those right now, and like once you've upgraded and discovered other things, you can plant other crops. But once you do it, that is just a carrot square. It's always carrots, and every like couple of days a new carrot will grow up. You harvest it, it's still there, boom, another one grows. So you're not it's kind of still doing the farming thing, but a lot fewer steps and a lot less complexity to it. So it's one that's like, it's a game that's very good for listening to podcasts because it's kind of like a little bit grindy. It's fun, but you don't have to like pay super close attention to it.
Right.
but it's got really good charm. The art style is really, really nice. I've put in quite a few hours into it at this point, and I've still got one area that I haven't unlocked, and I'm not sure how to do it. All of your kind of like buildings, like your general store and your, sawmill and stuff, you have different things you can do to upgrade the buildings, which then unlocks some things like you have a 25% chance to craft an extra item when you're doing stuff here, that kind of stuff. You also have like a museum, like an Animal Crossing, so you donate to the museum over time. Like there's fishing in the game, and there's a lot of the types of stuff you'd see in like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. Those types of games. It's just like a smaller, lighter version of it. Hence, Littlewood.
Yeah. Well, I turned on the Steam Deck the other day to play something, and I saw you were playing it. And then a couple days later, I turned it on again, and you were still playing it. So then I just bought it because I was like, it must be good if Nathaniel's still playing it 3 or 4 days later. So it must be good.
Yeah, it's really good. Like I put in like maybe 4 or 5 hours or so in early access, and now I'm like well over 20.
Yeah. When I looked at it, I was like, I looked at it, I was like, Littlewood, that sounds familiar. Okay, I'll buy it. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah. So the way that like the game works too is kind of like an energy system, but it's like every time you're doing certain things like mining a stone or harvesting a crop or cooking a dish or whatever, you're using a bit of your energy and it progresses the day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, you're tired, you should go to bed. And then if you do one more thing, you pass out, and then you start the next day with no energy, but you have to specifically do that. So it's really, really hard to do that unless you're doing it on purpose. And why would you? So that's just, plus, like, hey, oh man, I'm in the middle of the caves and I'm like out of energy. What do? You just go into the menu and say, go home. And then bloop, you're back into your house and you can just go to bed immediately. You don't have to like travel or anything. You don't have to unlock that fast travel. It's very, very kind of easy user experience is kind of what they're going for. It's just like, nope, this is a game that's easy to play. It's fun. It's just got a lot of stuff to unlock and collect, and you're farming. You're capturing different bugs. You're collecting different, catching on fish. You're collecting different recipes to build different types of furniture for people. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It looked cool. It sounded cool. It just looked like one that I'd want to play. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll just go ahead and buy it. I think it was on sale on the Steam.
It would work really well on the Steam Deck. It probably isn't verified because, like, I'm playing it with a controller, but it doesn't actually tell you. I had to figure out what the buttons did what because it doesn't tell you in game. It took me a while to figure out that there is a sprint button because it was one of the shoulder buttons and I hadn't tried it yet.
I want to say it was verified, but I don't remember.
I mean, it might be.
It says playable, is what it says.
Yeah, like, there is nothing. It's just probably because, like, within the game itself, how it does controller support is, like, it's there, but it's not as explicit as they'd want to verify.
That is exactly what it says underneath the playable tab, so.
Yeah, it plays just fine. Like, once you figure out, like, oh, this button does this, you're good. It's pretty simple controls. It doesn't even use all the buttons on my Xbox controller, so.
Yeah, cool.
It would be a very easy game to play on Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck would handle it very well. It's a very low resources game.
Yeah, there we go. That's what he's looking at. Yeah, sounds like it'll run good.
Yeah, like, it's just really cute pixel art. It's fun. If you want something chill, I highly recommend it.
Cool.
Then I finally landed on a game that I spent a lot of time with, and Kingdom Come Deliverance I bought in the Steam Summer Sale last year. It was the one game that I bought at that point that I hadn't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
And then I have a couple more games that I bought at the Christmas sale that I haven't gotten to yet. So I'm like chopping away at the library. I've got it in a tabbed category on Steam of like you haven't played this yet, and then I'll play it and then I'll remove it from that. And so like. It's a good system. But Kingdom Come Deliverance is fun. I've put quite a few mods on it to make it better, or at least more like how I want it to play.
Okay.
So, like, in the original game, hey, when you're shooting a bow and arrow, you don't have the reticle dot on the screen anymore. So I put a mod that it does that. Hey, the original game, the reticle dot is huge and yellow. Nah, just make it where it's like a couple pixels dot and it's in the middle that's very unobtrusive. I think that's the actual mod. Is called unobtrusive reticle. Then like a couple things like graphics related type things. I forget. I didn't put that many, like half a dozen on it, but maybe played 15 hours or so because I played through. It's got a really long kind of prologue intro section sequence thing or whatever.
Yes, it really does.
Yeah, like, and it also has like long ass cutscenes. Like the cutscenes are not short most of the time, and they're all like pre-rendered, so it's fun. And it's weird because a few of them were capped at 30 frames a second, and a few of them are just unlimited. Like it's doing some conversion thing. So I don't know. So it's a little bit weird how it handles those, but that's I think just like a thing of how long they were developing that game, and it, what happens when they did the PC port and whatnot, and now it's years later. Who knows?
Yeah, I have.
I guess it's not that many. I think it was like what 2018 or something that game came out. I can't
Something
remember.
like that. I don't know. I ended up getting that game when I was in one of the mystery bundles that I bought.
Yeah.
It popped up, and I played it. It plays really well on Steam Deck, but at the time when I tried it out, it really wasn't in the mood to play that kind of game. So it was like, it was a cool game, but it's like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like playing this long. And I played the beginning, and it was just like the cutscene at the first. I was like, oh my gosh, is it ever?
You have to kind of get to that. It's one of those like get through the intros part to the quote unquote real game. It's not that the stuff that comes before isn't real. It's just it opens up at a certain point.
Right. Yeah.
So I played, and you play as like a character named Henry, and he's like the blacksmith's son in this village. And then you're playing a little bit, like kind of one day of game time at the start to just kind of go through some tutorials of like, hey, here's how this one thing works and this little thing works. Not even that much, and then like, oh crap, this giant army comes out of nowhere, and you're like, oh crap, that sucks. And your parents get killed, and you don't make it into the castle in time, and so you're like make a desperate escape on a horse to another town several miles away, and then you're in that fortress for a bit, and then you have to like do a patrol on the wall with them, and then there's some more cutscenes, and then that army shows up, and then no, wait, before that, the people from the town that you came from showed up who escaped from that castle in the night because there was a big storm, and then the big army, like evil army, shows up and says, hey, have you seen these, to like the king of this castle? And he's like, lies, no, I've never done this thing. And then that army goes away, and then you like have to escape because they want you to keep you in there because you want to go back to your village so you can bury your parents, and you get there, but there's bandits. And so they interrupt you, and then you get saved at the last minute, and then you're rescued and brought to another city where all the refugees from your town have landed, and then you're done with the prologue. It's very long.
Yeah, I didn't even make it.
Long.
I didn't even make it all the way through.
It's
prologue
interesting. Yet. It's definitely a long haul kind of a game.
Yeah. And at the time that I tried it out, it was like, no, that's not what I'm in the mood for.
Yeah. So the version I have has all the DLC in it. So then I immediately played a DLC episode that, like one of the women from your town who's like kind of the same age as you or whatever. She looks like she's going to be a romantic interest. In fact, she is a romantic interest in the main game. As soon as because she's the one who sort of comes and as part of the people who rescues you, you wake up in like her uncle's mill, who's like a miller somewhere, his house or whatever, and it's like, oh hey, you have to pay me back because I paid this dude, paid the doctor apothecary guy like 50 gold or whatever it is, I forget the currency, to heal you, and so like you owe me a debt, and then that's where the game starts. And I was like, okay, so I was talking to the girl, and there's like a dialogue thing. It's like, hey, how did you escape? And that kicks off the DLC episode. I can't remember the name of it, but basically from her point of view of how she escaped all this stuff. So I basically went back into the prologue time, did a nice whole flashback thing that took probably 5 or 6 hours. It's a meaty expansion because you play as her kind of like a couple days before this army comes, and you're going through like this whole thing. There's side quests. You go through like a main quest thing, and then the army attacks, and then you're still there after the fact, and so then it doesn't be like, hey, the army comes and then the DLC's done. Nope, you got more stuff, you've survived afterwards, and you got to do a few things, and then eventually it ends, and you got back to the dialogue thing. It's like, wow, thank you for telling me all of that. But it actually was really cool because it's like it's sort of almost like if you play it that way, because you could choose to play it whenever you want. So
Yeah.
people who played the game originally would have had like it as an add-on thing that like would have played it way later. But I looked up a thing that said, yeah, it's pretty good to play it early if you want. It like helped me. It's more like an extended tutorial where there's a lot more of game systems that you play with then than you do kind of up to that point, and except it's like still a smaller area that's a little more familiar because it's the same village that I spent some time in, so it's not like you're trying to learn where everything is in a new place yet.
Right.
So I decided I'd go ahead and play it. It was cool. I was like picking all the things because there's lots and lots of herbs you can pick and flowers, mostly flowers. It's like, hey, here's some marigold. Hey, here's some sage. Hey, here's this, here's that. Let's pick it up. Oh, your alchemy, or not your alchemy, your the whatever skill just went up because you picked a bunch of flowers. You're like herb something. My brain is failing me right now. It's like herbology, except it's not herbology.
Right,
yeah.
You picked cool herbs skill has upgraded. And then yeah, it's very much like older, or even like I guess I say older, but Elder Scrolls games.
Yeah.
Where you do things to level them up. So if you're doing combat a lot, that upgrades your strength. If you're running around, eventually it'll upgrade your kind of vitality. And then there's like different skills like that, where if you're picking a bunch of plants, eventually you're getting XP on that skill and it levels up. And then every so many levels you get like perks related to that. So like, hey, you've picked herbs and got to level 5. Now you get to pick, from a couple different things of like what kind of bonus do you want to get. I picked one where it's like if I have enough good smelling herbs in my inventory, I get a +2 charisma bonus because I smell good, I guess. There's one you get when you play as her in the flashback, she has a dog, and then when you go back to the main game, there's like a stray dog that you pick up for like the main character. So I was like, I know how the dog works. So on him, when you level up the dog enough, I was looking down the tree. There's one that I can get a charisma bonus because it's like you got a cute doggy with you, so everyone likes you a little bit more. I was like, oh, I might get that one. So yeah, it's very much like, I don't know. I would say it's probably a little closer to Oblivion, even though it's not that same kind of game, but just more like it has that level of systems, and like Skyrim had kind of whittled it down a little bit, but very much Elder Scrolls, but not in a magical kingdom. It's very much more quote unquote realistic. I still haven't gotten good at the combat, although I've gotten a little bit better, even though my character is very weak.
Yeah.
I'm at like level 2 strength or something. But yeah, like the combat, if you haven't seen it, it's very much pretty intense kind of simulation-y sort of thing. Although I don't know, I wouldn't call it simulation. But you have kind of like your melee weapon, and you're locked onto a person, and you have like different zones you can attack. So it looks kind of like 5 points. So you have like up towards the head, left, right arm, and left and right leg. It's kind of like where you're aiming to swing. So you're swinging from that direction. And then I just found out after doing some like the training mission or whatever today, like, oh hey, you can do feints and all this other stuff to where you like hold it here and then switch at the last second to attack somewhere else. You have kind of like perfect blocks that you block it at the right time. Then you can do like ripostes after that. There's dodging that sucks. I hate it. They start with combat like, hey, movement is key. You got to keep moving around, like keep strafing around basically and moving around. Don't just sit still. And then the way the dodging works is you have to be sitting still and then at the last second like move, and then it will dodge to the side or back or whatever if you do it right and you do it the correct direction. Because if you dodge into their like the where they're swinging from, that doesn't work. They'll still hit you. I found that out quickly. I was like, nope, doing it wrong. And then also you have like archery and stuff where it's got a lot of like sway, so it's moving stuff on you. And because like as you level up, I'm sure that gets tighter, but because it's an RPG, when you start it's gotta suck so that eventually you get good at it.
Right.
There's the lockpicking mini game that is hard. I can't do it very well with the controller. I have to like switch over to the mouse to do it.
Well, that's weird.
It's a lot easier, which apparently is like a known problem. I even that's one of the other mods I put on. So it's kind of got like a circle graphic on the screen, and then you kind of have like an icon that you're kind of moving around, and then when you find the sweet spot, it kind of gets a little bit bigger and glows yellow. And then you have to start rotating the lock, but as you have to kind of like move that cursor with it as you're rotating the lock. So it's kind of hard to tell where you're keeping it at and all that stuff. So I got a mod that basically segments the way the lock looks so you can kind of see what you're doing. It doesn't
Yeah.
really make it any easier other than just visually you know where it's you have something to like compare it to instead of just a big blank circle. So on controller, what you're doing is the right stick moves that kind of like lock pick
Okay.
icon basically, and then the left one you're rotating it is kind of like your knife or whatever that's rotating the actual lock mechanism.
Too complicated.
So you're trying. Well, it's not too complicated necessarily. It's just the way that it works isn't quite the way that I would want it to work because it doesn't. I'm not putting this left stick over on like say the edge of it and then like rotating it clockwise quite as much. It's more like kind of like I don't know. It's just weird how that works. If the rotation worked like I expected it to, it might be a little bit easier, but you're essentially having to rotate both sticks at the same time to kind of keep the thing in the right place. And because it doesn't quite, it's a little clunky the way it works. It's just really difficult. With the mouse is moving your icon, and then all you do is hold down a key and it just rotates automatically. You're not having to do any like extra rotation with two hands. You just hold it and then you use the mouse to drag it along. Still not like the easiest minigame, but it works.
Yeah.
See, that's like there's lock picking in Harry Potter. I couldn't figure it out. Or in Hogwarts.
Can't you just blow up the door with a magic missile?
Well, it just gives you saying automatically solve. It just says automatically solve. So every time I'm just like, I can't figure out how to do it. Automatically solve.
No.
Automatically solve. Automatically
it comes
solve.
up. Are you a child playing this game and
Yeah.
need his help? Yes.
Yes, please. Yeah. It's like I don't have time. I don't have time
Yeah.
to figure this out. Let's just
So
go.
I haven't done it yet because I actually kind of like it, but there is a mod where you can remove that minigame from there, and also the pickpocketing minigame.
For
But I don't
sure.
know why, because I like the pickpocketing one now that I've had it. So like how you do that is you basically like go up behind someone in sneaking mode and hold down the A button on controller, and you're basically holding it in. And the longer you hold it is the longer you're kind of like rummaging in their pocket, and the longer that you do that, the more risk you are that they're going to detect you in that point. And kind of like you have like a icon type in the middle that turns to a color that you have to fill it up just a little bit to get to green, and then as you keep going it starts fading into kind of like yellow and then red, and until eventually you would be caught. But there's also kind of like a number in the middle that keeps ticking up. As soon as you let go of the button, that number is the number of seconds you have to actually pull any of the items out of the pocket. So it's like the longer that you're kind of rumbling in their pockets, the more items that you'll find to possibly pick up. Then you have basically kind of like a big wheel that looks almost like a circular selection kind of thing for weapons or something in any other game, or it looks kind of like a phone dial because it has all circle holes on the side, and then you have to kind of like navigate around the thing, hit a button to pick up an item, and then navigate back up to the top where it's like a get out kind of button. So you're kind of like your hand here, you're reaching, you have to get your hand back out. It sounds a little complicated to explain. It's a little more kind of intuitive when you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
There's some where you don't know what the item is, so you have to hit a button to know what it is, and then you have to hit the button again to actually pick it up. And then as you level up your your pickpocketing, I'm sure that gets better over time.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm an early level character, so I've got low level skills.
The skills.
I got drafted into kind of like the city watch, basically, and had to do a patrol with another guard, and then get in trouble with the local lord, who's kind of a jerk, who's like drinking with his friends, and you're trying to close down the bar, basically. And he's like, "It closes when I leave." So it's kind of like you're a peasant, and you're rubbing shoulders with, stupid nobility people who are all entitled or this or that. They have several different ones. It's a really good, so far, at least as far as having like interesting characters to interact with and stuff. So I'll definitely be playing more of this. It's one of the games that I've wanted to play for a long time, but just haven't ever gotten around to it.
Yeah.
'Cause there's no magic in it, but there's potion brewing and alchemy type stuff. So I want to get into that part because that seems like fun.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep, that's what I've been
Oh,
playing.
is that it? Okay. I couldn't remember if you hit them all or not.
I've been playing every game on the planet. No.
Every game. Okay. All right. Eric, so what have you been playing? Anything new and exciting?
Nothing new and interesting. So I played a little more Atomic Heart. I think I'm like 60% of the way through, so I'm definitely gonna try to finish that.
Yeah.
You heard me talk about that before, so nothing new with that. I played a little bit of Shadow Warrior 3. Why? Because it's on Game Pass, and I did like the second game, but I never finished it. So the third game it's more of the same. It's the same mechanics, same weapons, same over the topness. You know, if you like that sort of thing in FPS, go for it.
Yeah.
I tried the RE4 demo on the Series S.
Mm.
It's, the first village, like from the fourth game, so you should be familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than I remember, for sure.
I think it's because they've tweaked it a lot from what I've
the
been
mechanics
reading about it.
are interesting. So it's pretty much all the same, and you can combine different, elements now, and you can make your own ammo and things. There's the herbs and stuff, but your knife, it has durability, so you can like parry attacks, and if you use it so many times, you can break it. So the chainsaw guys in the village, spoiler, you can parry your knife versus his chainsaw, but the knife just snaps after.
Boo, realism, boo.
I remember in 4, shoot him in the kneecap, and then you can, punch him in the head or kick him. They still have that, but it's not as like, Leon's not power bombing or suplexing guys. I'm like, come on.
What?
But there's still that sort of thing in there. I don't know. I put like an hour of it. I could not get past the chainsaw guy. He just kept shredding me.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I'm interested, very interested. But maybe I'll wait for a price drop. We'll see. I mean,
yeah, reviews seem to be pretty good on it.
Yeah, it's 10 out of 10 in a lot of places. It's fun. I know plenty of people that bought it who had never played 4 before. Not really. I played it on GameCube, PS2, and yes, I own it on the Wii, and I have played it on the Wii. Which I know some people on this podcast think that's the best version.
No.
Oh, really?
Original.
I thought Nathaniel.
Original. Nope.
No,
I don't even think I played it that much on Wii, if at all.
It's fine. Like, it's okay.
GameCube is where I played it.
GameCube,
That's the version I know the best.
Man, I beat it like 3 times on the GameCube, and PS2 I beat it on 3 times. I still have my save file from the PS2 version. Yeah. I also own the chainsaw controller and the premium version for PS2 and the collector's edition for GameCube. What, the chainsaw controller? It makes a sweet noise when you fire it up. It is so cool. It's useless. It is horrible.
Yeah, but it comes in a cool case to just set on the
roar.
Yeah. It looks cool, not cool to play with.
Yeah, it's neat to look at.
Yeah, it's just made to look at.
That thing used to be pretty expensive.
Yeah, it used to be.
A couple years ago. I got it for like 100. I think I saw it as high as 200 a couple years ago. Well, who knows?
Yeah, eventually I'll get around to these kind of like
the remakes,
horror remakes that we've been getting, because I want to play Dead Space as well.
Resident Evil 2 remake is really, really good. 3 is like okay. 3 is good. It's decent, but 2 is good. I have both of them on Steam. I think I have 3 on PS5 too. Anyway, and I've also been playing Mighty Doom, which I kept getting like advertisements about from Bethesda. It's free. Pretty much you just run around as the Doom guy in a top-down level and shoot the demons. So simple as that. It does want you to spend real money, but you don't. You can just wait out of the timer. You can upgrade your gear, and it's easy. It's got that great Doom music, and it's a little time waster.
Yeah,
time to kill when you're waiting to pick up stuff or pick up a load of groceries or something.
Nothing wrong with that.
But that's it. It's been pretty light. Some other stuff's been picking up, so I'm busy. But I'll try to get more gaming in a little bit more the next coming weeks.
Yeah, I hadn't had much time to game this week because my boss was with me all week. So we usually go to dinner about 6:30, and we don't get back to the hotel till 8. So it's like, by that time, it's like, oh, I'm ready to go to bed. It's like I don't have time to sit down and really start a game. So. One little bit of news to touch on. The UK finally sides with Microsoft. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So it looks like the only hurdle left is the FTC, which usually if the UK and the EU all look together, usually the FTC finally just goes, whatever. So I'd say you're probably pretty sure that this deal is going to go through, and Microsoft and Activision will merge. Plus, they'll probably, even if the FTC drags their heels, I think I read an article the other day that Microsoft said they were merging regardless of what the FTC said, and they would take it to court if they had to. So, yeah, so they got through what they wanted with the on the UK side. So there you go. I mean, we all kind of figured it was going to happen. I mean, at least I did. It opens up a whole Pandora's box of, publishers. How many publishers are left? EA, Ubisoft. I mean,
or like big ones
that are independent publishers, I guess you could just call them now, that are not either Tencent, Embracer Group, or Sony. All I could think of was EA and. I
mean, there's a bunch of like smaller publishers, but yeah, as far as that scale, there's not many.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people are thinking, well, Ubisoft will be next on the block. Well, if they want to be bought, yeah. I mean, I know at one time they were thinking about selling, but who knows? I mean, I don't see Microsoft or Sony buying them. Not after this fiasco. I think Microsoft has made their humongous purchase, and they're going to go after smaller people that regulators are not going to go, oh, that's terrible, so but, whatever, it is what it is.
We'll find out, like, I don't know, one way or another, just get it done. Like, yes, you can do it, or no, you can't, and then we don't have to hear it all the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's just like that's all you see, story, video game news wise, or social media. If you follow a lot of video game stuff on social media, that's all you see. Is just Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, back and forth.
And everybody's hung up on the Call of Duty, and I've said it from the beginning. It's not the Call of Duty part that people need to be hung up on. It's the mobile and the Blizzard part. That's
the weird part. That it's like, okay, like, does Apple know enough about this and they just don't care, or what? Because like, Microsoft acquiring all that would have a huge jump up in kind of just like all these big mobile apps. They've said they want to put their own mobile storefront and all this stuff out there. So like, if this all goes through, Microsoft's gonna be like, yo, gaming on mobile, we are here.
Yep.
And we can actually maybe compete. So like, you'd think that Apple would be trying to do everything that they can to make it not happen too, but they haven't really been doing that.
No.
Must have been Sony being like, nah, don't mess with our console space.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I know a lot of the social media was doom and gloom, a dark day yesterday. I saw a lot of posts. It was, this is just a dark day for the gaming industry. It's just terrible. And I'm like, you know what? It's a big deal. It just changes who gets your money. It doesn't matter. What difference does it make? I mean, boo-hoo. If it was the other way around, it was Sony, it would be the same thing. All the Xbox people would be going, boo, it's terrible. So, whatever. I don't care. I buy games I want to buy, games and where I want to buy them. I don't care.
I would say it's more of a mixed bag. There's some cool things about it. There's some not so cool things about it. So, I don't know. It just remains to be seen what happens, because Microsoft could promise a bunch of things and then not do them.
Yep.
Or it could completely uphold all that, Yep. Whatever. We just don't know.
Yep. Not a clue. So, we have some questions from Twitter. I know I talked about this the last show. We got 3 questions from Twitter over the past couple of weeks. So, Icy Dragon Breath. Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that handle. They ask, what is your ideal setup for comfort while gaming? And they also want to know what game that you experienced that you could. I'd like to know what game you wish you could experience for the first time again. So I guess we'll just go around the circle. Eric, what's your ideal setup for comfort while gaming?
I mean, it depends. Are we talking like? Am I gaming in my office where I have my consoles and my computer, or am I gaming downstairs with my Xbox? I mean,
well, that's for me. Which one's more comfortable for you then?
Well,
I have right here where I'm at is my gaming space. I got a couch, I got a 65-inch TV, I got my computer here, I got my Xbox, I got everything right here. So I don't have to go very far. I just got to go downstairs. Or if I'm on the road, I got my Steam Deck. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, so in the office here, I need to get a new office chair, but I got a futon against the wall, which I'll probably be replacing with probably like a gaming chair of some sort, like an oversized one. That one's okay to game on.
I recommend an IKEA couch. They're very comfortable.
Yes,
they're a little expensive,
nice.
but they're very nice.
Yes, we have one of those across the state. I already own several pieces, but I like that recommendation. But downstairs, got a love seat that's pretty comfy, and I'll use the Xbox on that. You know, it's like having a decent amount of weight. You know, if you have a big TV, I can sit back further, but you know, it kind of just depends on the tech size and everything. And I like having someplace I can put up my feet potentially, and someplace I can lean back a little bit.
Well, that's why I like it down here, is because I got a couch. It's away from everybody. It's on the other end of the house. So if the wife is sleeping, she's on one end of the house. I'm over here in the bottom of the other end, so I'm not disturbing anybody. And it's nice and it's quiet down here. And when it's dark, it is dark. So I can turn off the lights and it is pitch black dark down here, which I usually like to play a lot of my games in mostly dark. I like the TV just lit up. So. Nathaniel, what about you? I know you mostly play on PC, so you probably just got a comfy office chair.
I mean, I go in different, so I'm definitely very much on PC right now, but then I'll like go in spurts of it's like, okay, I'm playing a bunch of console games for a while. So honestly, it's more just like I've got a comfy chair for either one. I don't sit on my couch in the living room because it's a little further back, so I have kind of like a fold out kind of fancy lawn chair basically, because I can put it down and then move it back out of the way easy.
I'm going to see a picture of this, but I like the idea. I like the concept.
And then I just have my nice office chair in here, and then I like for comfort, it's a little side thing, but like on PC it's nice because I have keyboard and mouse, and I also have controller there. Or if I'm playing a game with a controller, you can reach up and hit something on the keyboard for most games that I play. Not all the games, but a lot of games will let you just be like, oh yeah, hit that quick save button or hit M for map or whatever, so instead of hitting 3 buttons on your controller. So it's like, hey, I got both at once, so like whatever's the most optimized, I could do it.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, I'm not really picky. It's just like, nope, I've got my comfort chair.
Yeah, as I've gotten older, comfort's become more of a thing.
Oh yeah,
back in the day, I'm like, I sit on an apple crate or on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that.
Back in the day, I used to just sit on a beanbag chair in the floor, with my feet just stretched out. And, but now it's like if I did that, I would have to roll off into the floor, do a push up to get up to my knees, and then maybe grab onto the corner of the TV stand to stand up. It's like I can't.
No beanbag chairs.
Yeah,
I haven't had one of those in years, but I can relate.
When we had the house 8 years ago, and I had that little room where I was sitting on top of the TV, it was literally I had a beanbag chair that I sat in, and it was. That was it. As far as games I wish I could go experience for the first time again.
How long do we have?
Yeah, I know. It's like...
Yeah, that's tough for me. Like, I don't know. I think of stuff I played as a kid, and the sense of wonder when you played it for the first time.
Yeah.
You got to figure out all the secrets, or buy a guide, or ask your buddy on the playground. I'm thinking about like all the stuff I played in the PC, like in the '90s.
Yeah.
Like, playing Baldur's Gate 1 for the first time, or Fallout 2, or like playing some of the stuff on the Dreamcast, or like playing Resident Evil on the PlayStation 1. That stuff.
Yeah,
blew me away.
Shenmue was one that really blew me away when it came out, just because it was so different than anything else. And I kind of, I would kind of like to experience that again. Maybe even go as far back as Phantasy Star 2 on the Genesis when I played that. I mean, I was 10 years old, I guess. Well, 12, 13. It was like nothing I'd ever played before, and I put 100 hours into that game and beat it. It was just like, wow. But if I had to go on a modern game, I would probably go Red Dead Redemption. Because the twist in that game at the end, it was one of those games where I played it, and got near the end, and then the twist happened, and I actually set the controller down and stood up and went, no! It was the first time in a game that I'd really just felt like somebody just pulled my heart out of my chest, just threw it on the floor, and I went, oh.
I'm going to have to look up that twist, because it's been years since I played it. I do like that game, though. It's fun.
Yeah. So that might be it for me. What about you, Nathaniel? I know you probably got a lot.
I mean, there's so many. Most of them would be like single-player stuff, because playing a multiplayer game for the first time, it can be fun, but it's more about like, okay, here you found the fun over a long period of time, so it's not... The draw isn't necessarily like the the awe and wonder of playing it for the first time is a lot
Right.
more of like other things. I would go back to stuff like Half-Life 2 if I'm going to be going back to
Ooh,
stuff like that,
Yeah.
or some of
ooh, that's a
even
good
some
one.
other things
Oh
on PC,
man,
but like
or even play.
StarCraft for the first time,
Yeah, that would be a good
some
one.
of those
StarCraft.
games. But like even more recent would be like Dark Souls or even Elden Ring, because like
Oh,
it's any game that I've played that like brings that sense of wonder, like wow, this is such a cool game that I'm playing. Witcher 3 is another one. There's like a lot
yeah.
of these
And for
bigger
me,
games.
like playing
I would
playing
love to
like
play them again.
Yeah.
playing the Last of Us on PS3 at the end of the PS3's life and being, you know what, this still looks good. They can still like really work their magic with the hardware.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many we could sit here for a long time because I know there's like those are the first ones just popping off of my head, but there's so many more I could like sit here and think about. Like, yep, that again. Like
Yeah.
Wind Waker, the first time would be cool because that
Oh
game
yeah,
was
it would
awesome.
be. Yeah, yeah. The first one, the Link to the Past.
Now,
That one.
now,
Was,
now I'm thinking about Half-Life 1 and how like I was like, what
Yeah,
FPS
Half-Life
could be
One. Yeah,
FPS
like
could be
yeah,
more than just run and gun. What is this with the dialogue and the plot and
or
that's the
or even
Quake engine.
or
yeah,
go back to one
Quake 2
where
engine.
talk about the remake Resident Evil 4 for the first time would be really cool
yeah.
to do again, right? Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many just like
I,
classic games
I
that playing
played
them again for the
that.
first time would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think I played RE4 like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I took my PlayStation to my PlayStation 2 to my brother's house, hooked it up, booted up. I still have a save game from like the third playthrough. And I was like halfway through, and I'm like, I do not know where I'm going anymore. But it did not look great using composite on a 65-inch modern
Right.
TV.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so rough.
Another game that I would like to experience for the first time, as long as time travel is involved, and I can literally play it
There we
exactly
go.
the same way I did
Time
the first
travel.
time, would be Minecraft.
Ooh,
Because that was a
yeah,
game that
yeah,
like some friends got me into it. And we were playing it all together, and it was just like doing all sorts of weird stuff back when it was, still fairly early. It'd been
Still
out for a little
fresh.
while, but
Yeah.
That's cool.
it definitely didn't have as many things as it does these days because they've added so much to Minecraft over the years. But yeah, like just that game is so much fun to like figure out back because it didn't have quite as much. Like it did have the wiki and things, but it was still a lot
Right.
of discovery of like, oh, hey, here's how you do this thing. Oh, have you done this yet? That kind of stuff. It was really fun playing with people and be like, hey, I discovered this thing, or hey, look at this cool thing I built.
Yeah. And the one funny thing that B team article that you wrote years and years and years ago, every year is still the number one article for the year. I don't care what we publish. That is still the number one article on the site every year by thousands. It's crazy. It is crazy.
I think the other one I did was pretty big too.
Yeah.
People like that Minecraft.
I guess so.
We just hit the SEO jackpot for those, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Stephen A asks, "Do you think a game like the Finals is able to find its place between Fortnite, Apex, and other first-person shooters?" I had actually forgot about the Finals, and when he sent that, I was like, "Oh, I need to."
Well, it's coming up recently because I've been doing like the betas and there's
Yeah.
been preview videos and articles and stuff coming out for it recently.
Yeah, so I had to look it up and
again.
remember what it was because I had totally forgot about it.
Yeah, and I had totally spaced, so I had to go look it up as well.
I'll be honest with you. Those free to play shooters like Fortnite and Apex, they all. I mean, if it's good, it usually hangs around. I mean, you got Overwatch, you got Apex, you got Fortnite. If this one is half as good, it'll stay around. It looks awesome, and
maybe, but it's completely different from those because it's not a battle royale. And it's like the way I would put it is like it has the hooks there that it could succeed, but it still has to have the luck to do so because it's not like Fortnite or Apex or any of those like Overwatch that have like the big pedigree behind it. So it's like, oh man, Overwatch is this big Blizzard game, crazy, or hey, Apex is from this studio that we know did these other FPS things, or like Fortnite kind of grew from a smaller thing, but it was still like it's from Epic, like it's not from some smaller place. So the Finals is made by people who have pedigree from like Battlefield and other things. So it's definitely looks like a well-made game, but it's still going to be hit or miss because there's so many, games or shooters or otherwise that are like, hey, this looks good, but for whatever reason they just don't hit at the right time.
Yeah.
And so they don't quite catch on. But man, if the server side destruction works as well as they say it does, once it gets out into the real world and has like tons of people playing it all the time and it doesn't break, I think it has a really good chance because it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, it really does. It looks really neat.
Because it's hitting that sweet spot of you get some of kind of like, if you like it, like the Battlefield shooting mechanics, but it has a bunch of other things mixed in there, and it's not a Battlefield game that takes, you know, many minutes or even over an hour or whatever, just for one round. It's very much a quick hit style of a
Right,
game, so it's
yeah.
got a little bit of like arena shooter vibes in there, a little bit of like Rainbow Six Siege and some other things, all mixed together in a really cool, shiny looking package. So
Yeah.
I hope it works because I want it to. It looks like fun.
Yeah, it does. It looks like real fun. Yeah, I'm definitely. Maybe did they have a trailer for it at one of the states of play? Maybe that's where I saw it the last, because I know it's coming to
They
PS5.
might have, I don't know, because they had a trailer for a while ago, and then it's kind of disappeared for a bit, and then it's just popped up recently with
Yeah.
some more preview stuff. So
I was
I
gonna say,
think some point later in the summer, I'd have to look it up again, but it's supposed to come out some point this year, I think.
yeah, apparently they just finished a closed beta. It ran from
Yep.
March 7th to the 21st. So, but yeah, I think it can. It looks.
But yeah, I
cool.
watched some gameplay of it from some YouTube channels that I follow for kind of like shooters and stuff, and then some other channels that are just more like general gaming, and everybody seemed to enjoy what they played on it. So
Yeah.
it's like, if it works, great. But as we know, multiplayer things, when they launch, sometimes, most of the time, don't work so great out of the box. So we'll have to see how this one
Right.
fares.
Yeah. Last but not least, I guess that would be Kiko. I'm terrible.
Kiko or
with,
Keiko? It's Keiko.
I'm terrible
VTuber.
with names. Forgive me. I butcher all of them. Do you think there's enough representation in video games? No, I don't think there is.
Yeah, it's like, short answer, no.
Yeah.
No.
Like, slightly longer answer is like, it seems to be getting better.
Oh yeah, it seems to be getting a lot better.
Because like, representation is a pretty broad thing, because there's like
Yeah.
so many different, you know, demographics and other things that to be represented, that's like slowly like, hey, here's a game that does it really well. Oh, here's another game that does it well. Or we're getting a lot more kind of accessibility options in some bigger games, and that's
Yeah.
starting to become more common now.
Yeah.
And things like that. It seems there's like people out there working towards doing more of it, but we're not there yet, and I don't think it's a thing that will ever be quote unquote there. It's just
No.
something you gotta work to being better at it. Right?
I think one thing that helps is it's not just gaming now is not just a, oh well, you're a nerd because you play games, or you live in your mom's basement. It's a lot broader audience now than it was, well, even 15 years ago, 10 years ago,
Yeah, it's
20
just
years
that
ago.
it lags behind it. So
Yeah,
like
it's not-
gaming itself gets broader, and then like it's been broad for a while, and it's slowly like trying to catch
Yeah.
up, but it's kind of like,
I think your
not
indie scene, you get a
one-to-one,
lot.
right?
You get a lot more
Yeah,
representation
for
than you do
sure.
with your AAA stuff. But AAA is starting to get there. I mean, with Last of Us, you got female protagonists. You got in your Assassin's Creed games, you got a lot of different cultures represented. I don't know how accurately they're represented.
yeah. I
but,
mean, it's the difference is like with your big AAA games, you're trying to aim for like such a wide, broad audience that you kind of sand out a lot of the kind of individuality to it, or like the specialness of like, this is very unique. Every once in a while you'll get one that still has a lot of that, but when you're trying to sell to like millions and millions of people, they're not going to want to risk doing something that's
Yeah.
a little too far out of the box. Whereas like indies, you get a whole lot more of that. So
yeah, yep. So that's
you can find a lot more, and there are different, communities within that, like of indie developers that are, certain, things. They're like, hey, I'm this, and I made this game because I wanted to have something that was, from my heart and that represents me. And
Yep.
so you get a lot more of that, of all sorts of different flavors in indie titles,
yeah.
because they're also a lot smaller in scope usually, and they can, they don't have a giant corporation breathing down their neck to be like, sell a bajillion titles. It's like, no, just sell enough that you made some money on it. you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Yeah.
So they can try a few more things, and there's all sorts of, I'd say definitely more representation, like you said, in indie games. But even there, it's still like, you can always do better.
Yep, you can. Well, thanks for those questions, guys. All 3 of those questions and all 3 of those people
Yep.
got Steam games because I had
Woohoo!
so many to give away. I gave all
Ooh.
3 of them Steam games. So if you want a free Steam game and you want us to answer a question, DM us at GL_podcast on Twitter. Or you can email us if you want, podcast at the gamers-lounge.com. I mean, you could do it there too if you want, but DMs on Twitter are the easiest way to get a hold of us, and you might get a free game out of it because I still got a crap ton load of games. So
I'll be
getting
adding a bunch
questions,
on there
too.
too. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
gotta
fun.
get big.
it's fun. It's fun to get questions and answer them. So yeah.
Because it like gives us something a little bit different than just whatever we come up with or whatever
Mhm.
random news there is. It's like, oh hey, something new.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
even if we have to start throwing like, hey, we'll give you like 5 Steam games. We, just need, if
Yeah,
we didn't get any questions. Let's
there's
up
some
the
good stuff
ante.
on the list.
It's fun. I've
There's
got
some good
plenty-
classics and some modern
I got
stuff.
I got plenty to hand up that ante if I need to. I mean, there's a huge list of them. It is ridiculous, and I keep buying those mystery bundles. So on Steam. So.
Ooh, look, it's $5. Why not buy it?
Yeah, $6.99 for 10 games. Absolutely. Oh, I got 7 of them. That's okay. I mean, the other 3 were worth the $6. Let me just add those to the list. So yeah. So.
Yeah, sounds like me.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, we're going to call that a show. Thanks a lot for listening. And if I get the video uploaded, hey, thanks for watching it. It's like I'm going to do my best to upload it. It's I've never tried this before, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, upload speeds will be fixed tomorrow. Because if not, it may take a long time to upload it. So.
Yeah, might be a little bit long.
But we'll see. So. But yeah, we should be back in 2 weeks, I believe. I don't think I've got anything going on, not that I know of. We'll see. But anyway,
Should be around.
like I always say, if you get us, or if you listen to it on the podcast, it will drop on Sunday in your podcatcher, whatever day we record. It's whether it's in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long. But if you want to keep up with when we're going to have a show, at GL_podcast on Twitter is the easiest way to do it. So. All right, guys. Well, again, thanks a lot for hanging out and listening, and we will catch you all next time.